They were gonna tell you, oh, just keep it for yourself. But no, every casual, they're gonna ask you, give me money, let me borrow money. You know what I can buy? I promise. Because that is, I pay my rent, my food. The rest I give to them. What I want to buy, I can. I give to them. Because I know they need to buy food. Sometimes I don't eat. Even my money, one day only I give. Just to buy milk of their kid. No. That's why I said I hate. I hate them, you know. I hate them. They even can appreciate what you're doing. I don't know if even someone have appreciate me. I don't know. I don't know if there's someone appreciate me or not. I never feel that. I always feel I'm alone. Because I promised when 13 years old, I'm in the other house already working. I'm working without salary. Only food will be enough for me just to try continue my study. I never grow up with my family. I never feel their love. I never feel how to grow up with mom. I never feel that. Every year I'm in other house. Every time my birthday, they're not with me. They gonna call you happy birthday. That's all one day. Only happy birthday on the phone. On phone, you're gonna only hear on that on phone. But if they need something, please, I need this. I need to buy, I need to pay, I need to blah blah blah. Until I grow up. You know, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, before this video begins, let me be the first to issue a potential trigger warning as this video was being made. Alright? Somebody might get pissed off at it. Quite frankly, I don't care if you do or not, okay? But what is good, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you know who I be, good doc. Dr. Mike TV back again, once again, having a truthful moment. Doc does not want to create down videos. I'm more or less trying to create as much positivity in the videos as I can, but every now and again you have to really dig deep. If you are any person that has ever been amongst the Philippine culture, if you're interested in the Philippine culture, or you hear anybody talk about the Philippine culture, one particular talking point that seems to be super consistent is their family focused or family centered type of environment. Like, you know, you can have anywhere between 3 or 4 family members, 3 or 4 different families living in a house, or, you know, maybe the son has a girlfriend, or they're married, or they have a kid and they're living in a house with the, you know, siblings, as well as the mother and the father, and then the grandmother and grandparents and everything like that. So we've come to a conclusion that overall, in the general aspect of everything, it's a very family-centric type of atmosphere that you're going to come across when it comes to dealing with Filipinos. And to the extent I can believe that to be true, but there's a real dark side to all of that shit. And what was seen in this video by this young lady. Her name is Micah. Is the downside of this family-centered environment that is created by Filipino families. Again, trigger warning. I want y'all to understand, this one might piss some people off. Okay. Filipino families and the way that they structure themselves, to an extent, I'll be the first to tell you I don't like it. Okay? The reason why I don't like it is because it seems like most families raise their kids with the idea that their purpose once they get older is to take care of the family. That's it. Once you reach the age of majority, or once you get out of college, if you're lucky enough to go, once you finish your schooling, whenever you get your first job, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you make, the majority of that is likely going to be helpful towards the household. Now, let's bring in this young lady, Micah, who is breaking down in tears, ladies and gentlemen. You see it. It's enough to break your fucking heart. She's breaking down into tears, and she's talking about, and I hate that I didn't get the entire live, but I think that I put enough in there for it to serve the purpose, okay? But what Micah's going through right now is the fact that, you know, her family is just wanting so much from her all the time. And it gets to the point where, even, this is local now, she's still in the Philippines. Micah, she says that all she has is just enough money to pay her bills and to have food in her pocket. So I'm sorry, pay her boarding house or her rent and have food in her pocket. That's it. But every other dollar or peso that she makes, it goes towards the living expenses of the household, because she knows they need it. And she says she doesn't feel the love of her mom. She don't feel the love of her family. I don't know if I caught this part in the video, but during the live she was talking about how she hasn't really felt any love from any member of her family since her dad died. So now I don't know what her family dynamic is like, but her dad passed away, and she said since then she doesn't feel any love from the family. She's like, you know, she's been working in houses since she was 13 years old as a maid. And she said every year on her birthday, all she'll get is luckily a phone call from her family. She doesn't get to spend time with her family. She doesn't get to spend time with them and, you know, be able to celebrate with them on her birthday because she's working. And that's her job. That is her life. Since she was 13 years old, she's been working to help support the family. 13 years of age, she's been helping to support herself and her family. So now I think it kind of just came to a head in this video because she's just having a full-blown breakdown. Family always asking for money. She barely has enough for herself. She's even at the point where she's a very young lady, probably in her early 20s at best. But she's at the point where she says, I'll just marry any foreigner. Any foreigner, as long as they can provide my family a good life. And that scares the shit out of me. That it would get to the point where a Filipina feels like they have to just marry anybody as long as they're able to provide her family a good life. She could care less about her own well-being. She'll get with somebody as long as that person is willing to take care of the family and make sure her family is good. And the sad part is that's kind of the mindset of the majority of Filipinas that are in such dire straits and really, really hard situations. I've seen it with my own eyes. They date and deal with people who are complete assholes, all because they made an agreement with this person that if they marry them or something, they'll take care of the family or make sure the family's good. So this person is willing to risk their own mental state, their own mental welfare, their own societal welfare, everything, just to be with somebody in order to make sure their family is good. This is not the first time I've heard this. This is not the second, and it will not be the last. But it's sad, ladies and gentlemen, because the family dynamic that we've always painted for Filipinas has always seemed to be one of loving care. From the general aspect, yes, you can say that for the most part, Filipinas usually have a very, very solid foundational relationship with their families. But this is that dark side of it all, where that loving condition is conditional. Wherein, yeah, I love you as long as you can continue to help take care of us when we need it. I love you as long as you can still do this when I need it. And then the moment where you can't do something like that, guess what? You ain't shit. They trying to disown you and shit, and it really does bring a person to tears. I can't imagine my mom turning her back on me if I couldn't do something for her. That shit'll break my heart. No cap, man. Like, I have a very, very solid relationship with my mother and my father. Like, I love them both undeniably. I mean, to the day that I die, those are my people. I can't imagine having that type of animosity towards them because the only time they love me is if I'm able to do something for them. That love is conditional, or that love feels conditional. Granted, they may say, oh, well, it's okay this, it's okay that, but you know it's not okay. You know it's not fucking okay, because they asking you and telling you that they need it. And when this young lady told me that sometimes she barely does, that she doesn't eat, that's when it broke my heart, ladies and gentlemen. That's when it broke my damn heart, because I understand her situation, because she's not the first young lady that I've ever dealt with that has been in a situation like that, wherein she's basically given every little bit that she makes to the family. Every little bit of money she earns, whatever her job is going to the family. Like she said, enough to take care of her boarding house and enough to make sure she can eat, and that's it. She doesn't really do anything for herself other than, feeding herself and making sure she has a place to stay. And it brings up 3 solid points that I want to make that you guys really need to take into consideration. Number 1, gentlemen, stay strong. That's the first one. Stay strong, because I can tell you right now, watching a video like this will break your heart. It broke mine. Not gonna lie, man. To see this young lady going through a hard time, it hurt me. And in your mind, you're thinking, what can I do to help this young lady? Don't do that. Don't have them thoughts. And the reason I don't want you to have them thoughts is because that could be detrimental to you as well. Okay? That could be detrimental to you. So stay strong, gentlemen. Remember, you cannot help them all. Remember that. So stay strong. Don't allow... It's a hard one to get over. It's a hard pill to swallow. And of course, the nature of most men, most of us, not all of us, you want to help where you can. But in this situation, it's just something you got to let go, man. That's something you can't do. Number 2, this reveals it's peeling back the layers of the onion that represent the Filipino family dynamic, guys. It's not always peaches and cream. It's not always love. That love is sometimes conditional. That love is sometimes only there when things can be done for a specific person or for a specific reason. Only if mother can get what she needs from you, oh, she loves you this. But the next time that she can, she wants to give you the fucking silent treatment. And trust me, I know this. This isn't something that I'm just speculating on as an outsider looking in. A lot of y'all might say, what does this foreigner know about any of this shit and that shit? Trust me, I'm in a relationship with a Filipino right now. Love the mean one to the day that I die. But I can honestly say, and I hope she doesn't get mad at me for saying this, her and her mother's relationship is not built on these best of foundations. Okay? It's not built on the best of foundations. And I'm going to leave it at that, because it's not my business to discuss anybody else's stuff. But, it's just not always built on the best of foundations. So I know where she's coming from. And I know that pain that you feel inside. Because if a Filipino mom asks you for money, she's not really asking you to ask you, ladies and gentlemen. She's asking you by telling you. Or saying, oh, I need this, or oh, we need this for this, that, and the other. Almost leaving you no real way to get out of it, or no real way to say no. Filipinos do not know how to say no to their families. They do not know how to say no to their mother. Mostly it's the mom that asks, because very rarely do you have the father doing this, but it's the mother. They don't know how to say no to the matriarchy of the family, whether it's a mother or a grandmother or whatever it may be. So they just bite the bullet and they suck it up, and they cry, and they fucking hurt themselves, and they do crazy shit. All right? The last point I want to bring up, number 3. This is why a lot of them flock to OnlyFans, and this is why a lot of them do these online shows where people can donate virtual currencies, guys. I know I had I have my, how can I say this? I talk a lot of shit. I'll be the first to tell you, I talk a lot of shit when it comes to Filipino vloggers and stuff. My relationship, my love-hate relationship with Filipino vloggers, and that's okay. I'm not gonna sit there and sugarcoat it. I love them and I hate them sometimes. But then again, I realized that even though they are probably able to make a substantial living for themselves, the majority of the money that they make goes to the family. So imagine, you got young ladies building houses for their families out in the bookies and all of that extra stuff. That shit costs. And now that the family is aware of the type of income that you're making through the stuff that you're doing, whether it be YouTube or, virtual currency through these social sites and things of that nature, they know what you're making. They're expecting to get their cut. They're expecting to get their cut because they have earned their cut. They raised you. They birthed you. They want their fucking cut. That's just the way it is, guys. Now, if you come from a solid foundational family where mother and father are well off, then that's a different story. Maybe their expectations and money-wise financials is a little bit different. But for the most part, if you come from the lower economic social classes, it's hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's difficult for a lot of them to break free of that nonsense. Trust me, I know. And when I saw this video, it was like, damn, this is real to me, because these tears ain't fake, bruh. And if they are, she's a hell of an actor. But these tears ain't fake, in my opinion, because I've seen it. I've seen these tears before. I've seen them in a multitude of different Filipinas, even my own. So I know when it's a real one, and it's just sad. So gentlemen, remember the 3 things, man. You got to stay strong because you can't help them all. All right? You got to stay strong because you can't help them all. Number 2, granted, this shows the real dynamic, the downside, the evil, the ugly aspect of the family dynamic in the Philippines. And number 3, ladies and gentlemen, although I may give a lot of shit to Filipinos about their online social statuses and their online means, the way that they're doing things, and the fact they get all the views and stuff, and I might be saying that more so in a joking way. Granted, if they make a lot of money, the majority of that money's going to the family, bro. And it's sad. It's so sad, because they never get to enjoy the money that they make. So they're up here showing skin and doing all of this extra stuff from time to time. I mean, that's more so for your OnlyFans types, just to make money for their family to spend. And guess what? Their whole mindset is, as long as my family's good, I'm good. They're not really caring so much about their mental state, ladies and gentlemen. They're not really caring so much about, you know, their own self and well-being. As long as the family is good, they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure the family is good. But they really could care less about themselves sometimes. And that's where situations get dire. And that's where you start to have Filipinos getting into horrible relationships or dealing with the worst of the worst when it comes to foreigners in the country, because they feel like they're left with no choice. Man, if I want my family to be good and I want my family to have a good life, I can't do it on my own with the salary that I have. I can't do it on my own with the work that I have. I can't do it on my own living here in the Philippines. And going abroad is not as easy as people think it is. So my only next best bet, if I want to create a financially sound situation for myself, I have to get in a relationship with a foreigner. I gotta marry me a foreigner. I gotta marry me a foreigner. And that's where that mindset comes from, ladies and gentlemen. The I need to marry me a foreigner mindset comes from the simple fact that they're put in situations where there's a lot of pressure. And a lot of that pressure comes from the matriarchy of the family. The father wouldn't do that, because the father's role for the most part in the house is to make the bacon. Y'all know the rules of and now you got your lazy Filipinos out there, your lazy Filipino men out there, so we're not going to overlook that. But for the most part, the ones that do what they need to do, their job is to go out there and make that bank. And mom kind of just delegates how the money is spent. That's normally the family dynamic. But sometimes, man, this is one of those downside situations where it sucks that it has to be this way, but this is it. And you had to see it. And I think there's no better presentation than seeing how it's generally affecting a specific individual. Now, again, you can say, oh, it's isolated, it's 1v1, which means it's basically just her words in the moment. But this is her honest moment, ladies and gentlemen, and she had to have it. Everybody has to break down into tears every now and again to get it off their chest. And I hope that she was able to get it off her chest, because it sucks to see them in a sad situation like this. And it's a situation that, they can't really get themselves out of, because everything is tied to the family. So now what? She's talking about how she never felt love from her father, or felt love from her mother since her father died. That may or may not be in the clip that I have. I'm sorry if it's not. But yeah, she's talking about how she never really had the love of her mom after her dad died, and it just got worse from there. It's just sad. And die case to have these moments, but they're one of the realest and purest moments that you can have in reference to understanding the Filipina psyche when it comes to the detriment of the relationships that they normally have with the parental figures in these households. More so the dynamic, and I want to make this as super specific as I can, more so the dynamic between the mother and the daughter, more specifically possibly the mother and the oldest daughter in the family. There's an expectation between mothers and their daughters. it's it does not always work. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And I've seen this a lot with that situation with the mothers and the oldest daughters, i.e. my young lady, and the mother and the daughters, period. More so the oldest one. The sons don't really have an issue with the mom. You know, maybe living up to father's expectations, maybe that might be a thing. But for your Filipinas, their relationship with their mother will tell you everything that you need to know. And I want you to see that. If they have their mother in their lives, anybody who dates a Filipina, right now, what I want you to do, if you can, find a way to figure out, if you don't know already, try to find out the dynamic between that Filipina and her mother. Not so much the father, because the father gonna love his daughter, I believe, you know. But try to find the relationship out between between the mother and them, And I don't want you to comment down below. You can. I don't want you to divulge too much personal information, but I just want to hear if that dynamic is a good one or if it's one that's on a rocky foundation. That's all I need from you guys. All right, man. This video's been too long. I hate being Debbie Downer. It sucks, but I wanted to give you a raw, real, honest approach to a situation that I know to be accurate because I've seen it with my own eyes. How this benefits you as a foreigner, I don't know. I really don't know. It gives you an insight to the psyche, and it gives you things to look at. And although I hate to, never mind, I'm not gonna say it. If I say it, it's not gonna be taken the way that I hope that it would. So I'm gonna just forego the comment that I was about to make. But take a glimpse into your own relationship and see how your young lady fares with a relationship with their mother, and it'll probably tell you everything that you need to know. All right, it'll tell you damn near everything that you need to know. I hope you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form. If you did, get the like, subscribe, notify, do all the good things to make yourself well-versed in the Good Doc's content. With that being said, Good Doc is officially out, at least Nako, which means I gotta get to getting. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahakita. Mabuhay. Peace.